Hey guys, Christopher Janish here, back with another video. Today I'm going to show you how I edit photos in Lightroom, and I'm going to take you start to finish through editing a photo, and I'll do it with a couple photos so you can kind of see what techniques vary from photo to photo with different lighting. Alright, so here I am in the develop module of Lightroom. I'm going to start off by adding a crop to this photo. So I'm just going through, and I like to crop 5:4. That's kind of the standard crop for Instagram. Then I'm just going to level it out. This photo I took a couple days ago. It's of Nick Keller. You can find his Instagram below in the description. Alright, so really my lighting is pretty good for this photo. I don't need to adjust it that much. But I'm just going to go through here and just see if I want to darken anything or lighten anything, going through the lighting module. But I'm gonna leave it pretty close. I brought down the highlights a little bit just to show a little more detail, and if I bring down the blacks it just makes it too contrasty. So I really want to leave those blacks alone. I'm not going to mess with the presence effects now or the tone curve. I'm going to come down here to the HSL options, and I'm just going to mess with the hue a little bit. So the hue, you can see it affecting his jacket. I kind of want that to stay the color it is. Here's his skin. I always like to, for skin tones, bring the oranges over a little bit and bring the yellows over a little bit. So it's just going to give it more of that rich skin tones. Greens, there's not really much greens in this photo, as you can see by me bringing it back and forth. So I'm just going to leave that alone. Sometimes I'll try to bring out the greens in those trees, but really there's just not that much color in there. So working on just checking to see if there is any color here. The blues are what's being picked up by his jeans. So I want his jeans to look a little more turquoise or aqua than they do blue. So I'm just going to bring this a little bit over here, but I'm actually going to desaturate those later. So I already know that, so I don't have to mess with them that much. I'll just leave the purple alone and the magenta. Magenta can sometimes play a role in reds and faces, so I always like to check it and just see how it's behaving. So now saturation. I like my photos kind of desaturated, so I'm going to bring down the reds a bit. Right about to there looks good to me. And then I just want a little bit more saturation in the oranges just to bring his face back up a little bit. And I'll even zoom in there on his face just so I can really see what I'm doing. And obviously that's too much. I just want to find a sweet spot in there, and maybe and the yellows up as well. And then moving down to his jeans, that's where I said I was going to desaturate them, so I'm going to grab the blues and just pull some of that saturation out. So I do like this more. I think I pulled a little bit too much out. This is so subjective, trying to figure out how much to move things. So now I'm in the luminance slider. I want to get his face a little bit brighter. You can see how that was affected just by bringing up the luminance. I just like bright faces. Maybe it's personal preference, maybe it actually looks better, but there we go. And then I'm looking, does adding red luminance look good? Maybe a little bit. Blue luminance, yeah, a little bit here, a little bit there. Obviously we have a big hit of yellow here on the gate that he's sitting on, so I could make that darker or brighter, but really that doesn't need to be adjusted that much. Besides, I might go back into Lightroom and just bring down the yellows a little bit. Just bring down the yellows a little bit in the saturation. I don't really mess with split toning or detail, so we're going to move down lens corrections. Something to mess with, I don't think it's going to work on this photo, but is the distortion. So you hit constrain crop and you can distort the edges of the photo, and it just stretches it towards the middle, kind of like bending the middle in, so it can give some interesting effects. I don't think it's right on this photo, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit Control Z to undo those distortions, and then just continue moving down. I don't have any chromatic aberration in this photo, so I'm not worried about that. I do like to add a little bit of vignetting a lot of the time, so a little bit of post-crop vignetting. This affects it in the 5:4 aspect ratio rather than the original image aspect ratio. So now I'm moving down to the calibration settings. I'm just going to mess with these and see if I like the effects that they give. This is really affecting his jacket and the skin on his face. The red primary. And I like the way that his skin looks when I pull it a little bit to the left, but I don't like how it's affecting his jacket, so I'm going to leave that alone. But I think I will just bring a little bit more saturation back into it. So I just up that saturation just a little bit. Now looking at the green primary. And I do like how it looks when you pull it to the right, and then just bringing it, the saturation of it down a little bit. Looks pretty good. And looking at the blue primary. And this is one that's having a strong effect on that gait and the jeans. And I think I kind of want to just leave it alone. Just not really doing much adjustment there. So I've kind of gone through all the settings now at this point. I'm pretty happy with it, but I do want to make a few adjustments. So I'm going to come back up here to the exposure tab. I like to add a little bit of clarity to my photos, not that much. So it barely affects it, but it's just a little bit of increased detail. And I think this shot will look better, a little bit brighter. But then I need to bring back down those shadows just a tiny bit. And now I'm going to mess with the white balance. Normally I would do this at the beginning, but this photo's white balance was set really good. And I just want it to be a little bit warmer just to fit the mood, well, really to contradict the mood, so to speak, of all the snow. And I just love the warm skin tones that are on his face now. And I think that's pretty much it for this photo. There's the before and after. I actually don't like how he brought his jeans to be less blue and more turquoise, so I'm going to bring them back. It's an easy adjustment. And I think everything looks solid. A lot of times I might do some skin softening, but he has a little bit of facial hair going on, so I don't want to mess with that. So there's my completed edit on the first photo. Now what I do when I'm moving on to another photo in a set is I copy settings. Going through these, I pretty much copy everything. Sometimes I won't copy the crop settings, but I'm fine with that because that's an easy adjustment later. And then I'm just going to go through and find another photo that I want to edit. Let's go ahead and look at this one. So here you can see, you really see the Sony skin tones. There's a lot of yellow in it. And something you couldn't see quite as much in that first photo. But I'm going to paste the settings from the first photo on this one. And it already helps a little bit, but this one just had more than that. Now this is a horizontal photo. And I think I want to keep it that way, but I don't need to make that decision for sure yet. You can see there's a little bit of snow falling in front of him. I think I overexposed this one a little bit, at least with the preset on it, so I'm going to bring that back down to a manageable level. Right about there. And then I am going to go ahead and go to touch up the color. So this is off the preset that we just created. We're copying the settings that we just created from the first photo, so it should be pretty easy to adjust from there. The yellows are really just affecting those trees behind him, so I'm going to leave those alone. So it's going to be the oranges that are his face. You can see there we kind of start to push it too far. Just bring it back, find that sweet spot, and that's where editing is just so subjective, because that sweet spot's gonna be different for everyone. But that looks really solid. I think I do want to make this photo cropped 5x4 vertically, so I'm gonna drag that other 5x4 down, and then I want to line up his eyes with that rule of thirds top line. And there we get that photo. Super happy with that one. So I'm gonna edit one more from this set. Let's see which one I want to edit. Here's one that I edited last night. Alright, so let's go ahead and edit this one. So this is more zoomed in, and I want to be able to see the snow on his face. So if I paste the settings from that first photo onto it, that gives us a good starting point because we've already adjusted for the light and kind of the mood that we want to go with. This one I want to keep really wide. I'm going to level it out so his eyes are on the same level. And I just don't want to see nearly as much extra stuff going on in this photo. So let's crop it there, see how we like that. So I don't really like that crop that much. I just think we need a little bit more room. This isn't like an Instagram crop that you would see, but it allows us to get up close and see that detail. See the snow on his hair and everything like that. Really, I'm happy with this edit already. The preset that we created did really good for this. His skin tones look great. There's no real problems with it. If I wanted to get fancy, I might try to remove this little sign thing that's back here, but that's Photoshop, not Lightroom, so that's a whole nother video of doing that. So I think that's our 3 photos. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing my photo editing process in Lightroom. I'm sure there'll be more videos like this to come. Stay tuned Friday. I'll be posting another video of my 28-day commitment.